Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to talk about why street culture is destroying the black community, right? So, me being a young black man, growing up in the hood in poverty, I've seen and experienced all types of things, man. I know street dudes personally. I've seen very traumatic things growing up. There were times when I lived in the projects, and just growing up in the hood in poverty, overall, I've seen and witnessed all type of crazy things that I should not have been witnessing as a little kid, right? But this is what happens when you grow up in these type of environments. And unfortunately, as a young boy, I had to witness these type of things. But the reason why this street culture thing is really a disease, because that's what it is. It's a disease. It's a poison to the black community. It's destroying our community, man. You have so many of our young black kids killing each other.
We're hearing from the families of two teens shot and killed in the Bronx.
Sunday, a 13-year-old died too, shot walking down 187th Street. Surveillance shows Jerron Elliott in red pants. Shots zing through the air. Within seconds, he scrambles inside a restaurant. A crowd surrounds him. Police say he got shot in the ankle and chest.
It hurts me a lot, you know, that he was a nice kid. He was never a troublemaker.
We're killing each other over stupid shit, over nonsense, because we are all controlled by our ego, right? We have no self-control, no emotional regulation at all. And that's one of the biggest problems that we as black men struggle with. We struggle with controlling our emotions. That's why you have a lot of black men out here that are sassy and they act like females, right? That's why street dudes and females are the same. They're no different. They're both emotional, and for the most part, they tend to not be able to control their emotions properly, right? That's why if you look at a street dude, right? If you stare at him for too long, you'll get irritated and get an attitude, and then he'll ask you like, what are you looking at? Who you think you're looking at, right? He'll get defensive and get very confrontational for no reason, all because you was looking at him, right? Who also does that? Women. Women do the same thing, right? And this is what I mean, right? When you have a bunch of black men that grew up with a single mom and they didn't have that strong masculine figure in the household to really guide them and teach them how to control and regulate their emotions properly, right? When you don't have that in the household, you get a bunch of men that act like women basically, right? And they can't control themselves. And these are usually men that crash out over the stupidest shit, right? If a man is fucking your girl, or if a man finds out that that his girl cheated on him or some shit, he'd be ready to crash out. But he'll crash out on the wrong person. Instead of being mad at his girl, he'll be mad at the guy that his girl cheated on him with. Stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's fucking retarded, right? But he'll go and boom the guy that fucked his girl when simply he would have just been better off just cutting both of them off, cutting his girl off, and just never entertaining her again or never seeing her again. He would have just been better off doing that. But instead, because he has no self-control, because he's a fucking bot, because he's a fucking NPC, and he moves like everybody else that has no self-control, no emotional regulation, he's willing to basically throw his life away over a female, right? It's stupid, right? But this is how a lot of these street dudes act. They walk around with a chip on their shoulder. They feel like they need to be respected, right? That's why these street dudes, they always walk around trying to be intimidating and shit, right? They try to intimidate you by being in groups. They try to intimidate you by showing how many guns they got. They try to intimidate you by wearing these ski masks and shit. They try to make themselves appear tough, when in reality, they're just showing how feminine and sassy they really are, because that's really the type of shit that women do. It's like they're begging for attention. Their mannerisms, how they talk, how they react to certain situations, it's all feminine traits, right? Another thing about street dudes is that they tend to be very argumentative, right? They'll go back and forth with you if you disrespect them. Like I said before, no emotional regulation, no self-control, right? If you look at a street dude the wrong way, he'll be ready to pop it off on you. He'll be ready to fight, right? instead of analyzing the situation and calming down, he gets super emotional and wants to get physical right off the bat. The other day, I was walking down the street near my block that I live on, and it was these group of teenagers, right? Black teenagers. And mind you, it's hot as fuck. It's like 85, 90 degrees. And these motherfuckers is outside on the corner. They're a little rowdy, right? Listening to music and shit, right? But it's hot. It's hot. You feel me? Like, I'm outside with just a shirt on. Like, it's fucking hot outside, right? And these dudes is outside in ski masks and hoodies. So I know these little kids is sweating their asses off. But because they be in that street life and shit, and they always trying to appear tough and intimidating, right? They always walking around with ski masks and hoodies, right? In 90-degree weather. They're being rowdy, and I see a white couple walking in their direction. Now, the white guy, he stops at the bus stop because the couple was planning on getting on the bus. The white guy, he notices the teenagers on the corner being rowdy, and he's staring at them, right? Now, one of them notices that, and he responds, right? His response to that was, "Who the fuck is you looking at?" Right? This is how he's talking to the white dude. He says to the white dude, "Who the fuck are you looking at?" Right? And when I observed that, now the white guy, he didn't say anything, right? He simply just, he looked and then he turned around. Now, I'm assuming the white dude was a little intimidated, or he was probably afraid. And with everything that be going on with these little teenagers and kids and how they be bugging out and shit, he probably didn't want no drama, no problem, which is understandable, and I can understand that. Because he's probably just trying to get home and enjoy the rest of his day. He don't want no issues, right? So he just ignored them. He didn't say anything, right? And because he didn't say anything, or he didn't give them a reaction, right? They all started talking crazy about him, right? They talking crazy about his girl. They saying his girl ugly and all type of shit. They're just talking crazy. Mind you, these are kids. These are teenagers. They're not even adults yet. They just started going through puberty, all type of shit. They're not grown. These are a bunch of kids just talking crazy, being disrespectful. Now, let me tell you something. I was a teenager once, and yeah, I did a lot of stupid shit when I was a teenager too. But I tell you one thing, right? I wasn't walking around wearing no fucking ski mask at no fucking 14, 15, 16 years old in no fucking summertime. I wasn't doing that. The fuck? These young kids are so lost, bro. They're so rowdy. They're so lost. They're so angry. That's another thing I notice about these street dudes, man. They're so fucking angry all the time, right? Like they always have something to prove. Like they're just begging for respect, right? It's like they're always walking around with a chip on their shoulder, right? If you look at them some type of way, they get overly angry and irritated. And they always want to fight. They always want to say how tough they are and stuff, right? But what I've realized is real men don't act like that. A man that's actually strong and masculine and tough, he doesn't feel the need to show off how tough he is. Real men don't do that. Real masculine men don't act like that, right? They don't feel the need to boast and be all loud and be screaming at the top of their lungs talking about how tough they are. Real men don't do that. Real men have self-control. They can control their emotions. They can regulate their emotions. They know when to react and when not to react, right? And they know how to analyze people and see certain situations for what they are. That's what real men do. Real men don't act effeminate and act all emotional over every little thing that happens to them, right? Real men, if a woman is talking crazy to them or calling them out of their name, a real man is not going to keep going back and forth with them because the woman called him a bitch or something. Real men don't react like that because they have self-control. They can regulate their emotions properly. And for one, real men do not argue with women in general because that is a woman trait. Women, they go back and forth because that's just what women do. That's just how they are, right? Men don't do that. Men, we don't go back and forth. real men anyway, let me specify, real men don't do that. Now, effeminate, emotional men, like a lot of these street dudes, do that, right? They have a lot of feminine tendencies, right? You make them mad, they want to fight. You make them mad, they want to pull out a knife and poke you. You fuck a man's girl, now he wants to kill you because you fucked this girl, right? When, if he had enough emotional control, he could have just left that thought alone and kept going on about his life. But no, he wants to kill another dude over a female that couldn't give two shits about him in the first place. And he throws his whole fucking life away and spends the rest of his life in prison over a female. It's the stupidest shit ever. I will never understand that, bro. But it just goes to show you, man, a lot of these young dudes, a lot of these dudes that be in the streets, that be in these gangs, they're not real men. That's not masculinity. That's not how real men act or carry themselves. And unfortunately, you have a lot of women that are attracted to these type of dudes, but they're not attracted to them for the right reasons, right? Let me explain. So you have a lot of women that are attracted to these street dudes because these street dudes tend to be very unpredictable. Not only are they unpredictable, but from the woman's perspective, they are fun, right? They provide some form of fantasy to these women, right? These women love the unpredictability and the fantasy that they get from being around these guys. That's why, you ever heard the saying, nice guys finish last, or the nice guys never win? You ever heard of that before? Well, that is true, because the reality is, right, the nice guy, the guy that has the college degree, the guy that is a doctor, a lawyer, or a dentist, or whatever, right? Or he works at a business company or whatever the fuck, right? The nice guy, right? The guy that's not from the hood, or the guy that doesn't talk with slang, and some ignorant black people, they might say he talks white, which I hate that term. I hate when certain black people say that, talking white. It's not talking white. Only ignorant, uneducated black people say stupid shit like that. It's not talking white. It's called having proper English, proper grammar, and actually having good vocabulary. The reason why nice guys don't win is because they're not fun, right? They're boring, they're lame, right? And a lot of these women, a lot of these toxic, low vibrational women, these fucking bots, right? A lot of them also tend to be Jezebels or sex demons, but that's a whole nother discussion for another time. But the point is that they're very low vibrational, right? And they're addicted to toxicity, right? And who is the most toxic? Street dudes, right? So that's why they gravitate towards the street dudes more, because they're more fun. They're more fun to be around. They're more unpredictable, right? You don't know what's gonna happen when you're around a street dude, right? But it also goes to show the amount of self-hatred that these women have for themselves. They don't even care about themselves. That's why these women, they will get cheated on by the street dude that they're with. But even though they got cheated on by that dude, they'll still go back to that same dude that cheated on them. It's stupid, right? But that's how some of these women operate, because they have no self-love. They have no self-respect. They don't love themselves enough or value themselves enough to understand and sit down and realize, like, I deserve more than this. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to be with this street dude that treats me like shit. He treats me like a sex object. He doesn't care about me, nor does he love me. He just sees me as somebody to get him off. He doesn't give a fuck about me. He couldn't give two shits about me. He's out here fucking another girl because he's a street dude that's controlled by his lust and has no emotional control, no sexual control, nothing. He's just a lustful bot. That's all he is. He's just a lustful NPC, right? And she keeps going back to that lustful NPC because she's an NPC herself. It's just an endless cycle. It just never ends, right? So unfortunately, because that is the reality, right, you will have a lot of women, right, that will keep gravitating towards these kind of men because it's not love that they are craving. It's fun, it's excitement, it's the unpredictability of, well, what's gonna happen next, right? When I'm dealing with this guy. See, when they're with a nice guy who's peaceful, who's predictable, like they know he's not gonna cheat because he's a nice guy, right? They know he's not gonna cheat. They know he's predictable. And as crazy as this sounds, a lot of women don't like that. They don't like a man that is predictable because that's not fun. It's boring. It's lame, right? So because of that, they'd rather go to the street dude who's unpredictable and they don't know what he's gonna do. But in their minds, that's fun. It's weird, right? It's very strange. Now, let me point this out, right? Not all women are like that, right? You do have a lot of high vibrational women out here that are tapped in and they don't move like that. They're not toxic. They actually do have self-respect for themselves. They're not out here shaking their asses, acting like thoughts and shit, right? You do have women out here that are like that. Are there a lot of women out here like that? I can't really say. But I can assure you that there are women out here that do respect themselves and they don't act like those toxic, degenerate ghetto women that I was just talking about. And there are women out here that actually do respect men and treat them with respect. But not only that, but they respect themselves enough to not be out here acting like degenerates, out here just being a thot. These type of people operate off of survival. People that are in a survival mode mindset, you want to avoid individuals like that. These are the same type of people that will backdoor you when an opportunity presents itself. These people are not your friends. These are not people you should hang around or even associate yourself with. You want to stay away from people like that as much as possible. A lot of guys think that because they've been friends with someone for over 20 plus years, right, that means that they're like this. I don't give a fuck if you've been friends with somebody for damn near your whole life, right? All it takes is for one bullshit to happen. And then that's when you'll see their true colors. And the friendship can end just like that. Young Dolph, rest in peace to Young Dolph, he got backdoored by one of his closest mans. And they were friends for a long time and he got backdoored by him. So it just goes to show you it doesn't matter how long you've been friends with somebody. And this is why I always say, and this is the unfortunate reality, but you really can't trust most people now. There's a lot of people out here that you just cannot trust, man. And this is why me personally, this is why I stay to myself most of the time. This is why I'm always on my dolly. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really don't trust a lot of people, man. I may be cool and, you know, talk and chat with certain people, but just because I laugh and maybe joke around with you for a little bit, that doesn't mean that I'm your friend. A lot of people, man, they throw around that friend word too much. Not everybody is your friend. I cannot emphasize this enough. Not everybody is your friend. Not everybody needs to be your friend. I don't really have any friends. Truth be told, I'll tell you straight up, I don't have any friends. I have acquaintances. I have people that I socialize with here and there, but they're not my friends. These are acquaintances. These are people that I talk to here and there, right? I may socialize with them or maybe even joke around with them a little bit, or I may have like, you know, very low vibrational conversations with them here and there, right? But I don't hang out with these individuals, right? Because I see them for who they are, right? And these are not the type of people that I can see myself being around all the time on a daily basis. Not everybody deserves to be your friend. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Going back to the street dudes, man, stay away from those people, man. Being around street dudes will only bring you down. Not only will it bring you down mentally, but it'll also bring you down spiritually as well. Because all street dudes are bots. They're NPCs. They tie their worth and their value to materialism, consumerism, money, right? That's why a lot of these street dudes, they always brag about how many bitches they fuck and how much money they have. They move like NPCs and bots, right? They are literally NPCs like in a video game, right? That's literally how they act. They're like NPCs. They brag about how much money they have and how many bitches they fuck. Very low vibrational, superficial bullshit that really doesn't matter in real life. And that's what they tie their whole value and worth to. They tie it to how many women they fuck and how much money they have, right? Because they're bots, they're NPCs. And to be honest with you, it's really no saving those type of individuals, man. A lot of these street dudes, man, they're so stuck in their ways that they will never change. They will never change. That is exactly how they're gonna be for the rest of their lives. They are always going to be bots because they're tied to things like fornication, consumerism, going band for band, because they're bots. That's why street dudes and toxic women, they go hand to hand, because they're both effeminate. As long as you avoid these type of individuals, you'll be so much better off, and you really won't have nothing to worry about. I usually don't hang around these type of people. I try to stay in a high vibration as much as possible, so the chances of me being around these type of people is very slim to none. For real. But yeah, that's the end of this video, man. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I will see y'all on the next video, man. I'm out.